Hey everybody, welcome back to Real Estate with Syntia. I'm Syntia, Realtor with the agency Real Estate Services here in the Central Mississippi area, as well as Maison, Fleur Realty Group in the Metro Atlanta area. And today I'm wrapping up the buyer series. So last week we talked about the showing tours, putting in an offer, and an inspection. And so now we're going to wrap it up. Now we're doing appraisals and closing. So stay tuned. So, guys, last week, like I said, we wrapped it up with the inspection process. You and the seller have come to agreeable terms, and now we can move on. But before we do, I wanted to say something that I forgot to mention last week. So, the inspection is a contingency. So, that's why you had so much time to get it done without losing your earnest money and to come to agreeable terms because it was contingent in your contract. So, most good agents are going to write you up a contract that is contingent upon an inspection and appraisal. And I just wanted to clear that up because we have the other contingency coming up, which is an appraisal. So at this point, you all are getting ready for closing. You're packing, the seller is packing, the seller is doing anything that they agreed to do during the inspection, any repairs or things like that. And your lender is doing the underwriting process and they are about to order the appraisal. So you're responsible for paying for the appraisal, but the lender requires it. And I'm going to tell you why. An appraisal is a determination of value. I know a lot of people think that it's an inspection or another inspection that the lender does, but it's really not. It's a determination of value. So an appraiser will come to the home. They'll inspect it, look at make sure that everything is there, the bed and bath kind of things like that, and they will compare it with other homes in the neighborhood that are currently for sale and have sold, and they will come up with a value that they think is how much the home is worth essentially. And so the reason your lender orders this is because they don't want you overpaying for a home that isn't worth it. So for instance, if you're under contract for a home for $150,000 and your appraisal comes back at $145,000, your lender is only going to lend you $145,000 to purchase this home. So at that point, either the seller would have to come down to $145,000 and agree with that so that you can continue the contract, or you would have to pay the additional $5,000 in order to move on and continue with the contract. But because you have that appraisal contingency placed in your contract, you have the opportunity to leave the deal if the seller doesn't want to come down to that price and get your earnest money back. So I wanted to make that clear. But for the sake of this video, our appraisal came back perfect and we're moving on to the next step. So the next step after that would be to wait for the three magic words, which is clear to close. And once you get those words, that's when you all would set up the closing date and you all would, go to closing and make things happen. And during closing, you're basically transferring title from seller to buyer. So you're going to be signing a whole bunch of paperwork. You're going to come, with your down payment, which nowadays no one really comes with cash. It's all a wire transfer. So you're going to have the routing numbers and things like that that you need. The seller is going to come with the receipts for any, repairs that they had to do, any cleanings that they had to do. They're going to bring those receipts just as the proof that those things were done before closing. Oh, and before closing, you will have a walkthrough. So, sometimes people do it the day before, sometimes do it the morning before if you have enough time, but you have a final walkthrough of the property. So you will go in the home and just make sure that the seller completed all the tasks that they said that they were going to do, that is everything that was, said in the contract that will be left is there, and that is, ready for you for after you close on the home. So you've done your final walkthrough, you have your appointment, you're going to close it, you have everything you need. The seller is bringing all their receipts still, even though you did the final walkthrough, you still want the receipts just to make sure that they had, a certified professional person doing the stuff. Not for cleaning so much, but, for the major repairs, if there were any that needed to be done, you want to make sure that they didn't have their uncle or cousin or anybody just doing the repairs for you. So they're going to bring those receipts. And at that point, like I said, you're going to sign a whole bunch of paperwork and title is going to transfer over to you. The seller will give you the keys. And depending on your occupancy date, you can go ahead and move in the same day. And I say depending on your occupancy date because sometimes you don't move in right after closing because maybe the seller needs some time to get to the new place. They need some time to move out, or their home is contingent within itself, their contract could be contingent upon the fact that they need to purchase another home. So they might be still in the buying process. So at that point, or before that point, your realtor would have already discussed what would happen as far as the occupancy date. So if you're waiting for your sellers to move and it's been 30 days, because you are now the owner of that home, more than likely your agent is gonna, you know, help you negotiate that the previous sellers pay you some rent until they move. So opportunity to, have some income. I just don't want you to feel like um down or anything if your occupancy date isn't right after closing, because that gives you opportunity to get your first month's mortgage paid and secure things like that. But I am done with the buyer series. I thank you all so much for staying on this journey with me. Like I said, I have a ton of content planned, and I look forward to continuing making these videos. If you have any questions or comments or anything, leave them in the comment section. I will definitely reply to them. And as always, if you're in the Central Mississippi area or the Metro Atlanta area, feel free to reach out for me for any real estate services that you may have. And until next Wednesday, you all have a wonderful week. Bye.